Evening and welcome to the Flint Neighborhood Association City Council Candidate Forum. On behalf of our association, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. It's wonderful to see so many neighbors, residents, and community leaders here to take part in this important conversation about the future of our city. We'd like to begin by taking a moment to keep former Mayor Will Flanagan in our thoughts and prayers. We wish him comfort, strength, and healing, and ask everyone to join us in keeping him and his family close in spirit this evening. We also want to extend our heartfelt thanks to the Ciudad Cultural Soriana for once again opening their doors and allowing us to host our second forum here in this beautiful hall. Their continued support for our community and neighborhood means so much. I also want to extend a heartfelt thank you to my dear friends and fellow Flint neighborhood residents who are here tonight and have given us the audio for this forum. Your support, encouragement, and community spirit truly makes Flint neighborhood what it is: strong, caring, and proud. We'd also like to give a big thank you to FRC Media for streaming tonight's forum live for those who may not be able to attend in person. You definitely reach a broader community with your streaming. Tonight's event is about respectful civic dialogue. We ask everyone to please be courteous, both to the candidates and to one another. Please refrain, my apologies, from interruptions, and let's keep our focus on listening and learning from each candidate's perspective. We also like to commend and thank the city councilors and candidates who are here this evening. Your participation shows your dedication to the people of Fall River and the Flint Neighborhood Association. Your willingness to engage directly with the community you represent or hope to represent. Tonight's forum format. Each candidate will have 5 minutes for an opening statement, 2 minutes to respond to each question. Questions will be asked by myself. It was to be Laura Pacheco. Unfortunately, she can't make it. And Albert Arujo. 5 minutes for a closing statement at the end. Our goal is simple: to provide fair, welcoming, and informative platform for open discussion on the issues that matter most to our neighborhoods: public safety, housing, city services, and overall quality of life. Thank you again for being here. Let's have a positive, engaging, and respectful evening as we continue working together for a stronger Flint and a stronger Fall River. We are going to begin opening statements with Michael Canuel.
Good evening. My name is Michael Canuel, and I want to thank the Flint Neighborhood Association for hosting this forum. I also want to thank all of you here tonight and listening. Your presence really matters, and it's what's keeping our community strong. I'd also like to take a moment to wish former Mayor Will Flanagan a full and speedy recovery. Our thoughts are with him and his family. I also want to thank my fellow candidates who made the time to be here tonight. Showing up matters. It's how we listen, how we learn, and how we stay connected to the people we're representing or hope to represent. If I'm elected, that's exactly how I plan to serve, by showing up, hearing you, and making sure your concerns are actually followed through on. I'm running for City Council because I love this city. It's where I grew up, where my wife and I are raising our 3 boys, and where I want to see opportunity continue to grow for every family. Like many of you, I care deeply about what kind of community we're building, what kind of city our kids will inherit. I want them to grow up in a Fall River that is safe, clean, and proud of every one of its neighborhoods. I grew up attending Notre Dame School and graduated from Bishop Conley High School, and I spent time at Notre Dame Church in the Flint neighborhood. Between school, scouts, and my parish community, I learned what it means to be part of a city that cares for each other. That spirit has stayed with me, and I see it alive today in the generosity and care people show across our city. We are teaching our children to be generous and be part of our community. They're in Cub Scout Pack 15, just like I was. They play ball at local parks, march in Veterans and Memorial Day parades, and are learning to take pride in our community. Little by little, understanding what it means to care for the city that raised them. My background is in business analytics, which means I spend my days looking at problems, understanding what's behind them, and finding practical solutions that work. I believe that approach, practical, results-focused, and collaborative, is exactly what our city government could use more of. But what drives me most isn't the numbers, it's the people. It's the conversations I've had with residents in every corner of our city who care deeply about their neighborhoods and want to be heard. That's why one of my commitments is to hold quarterly office hours, each time in a different neighborhood, coordinated with the neighborhood associations just like the Flint today. You shouldn't have to go downtown to get your counselor's attention. I'll come to you to listen, talk through your ideas, and work together on what matters in your part of Fall River. I'm running because I believe Fall River is ready for a new voice, one that's practical, approachable, and focused on making steady, meaningful progress for our city. I'm looking forward to your questions tonight and the chance to talk about what matters most in our community. Thank you.
Ricky?
Was it mine?
Yes.
I didn't know. Good evening. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the Flint Neighborhood Association and FRC Media for taking this video, and also the folks here right now listen to us, and also the viewer at home. My name is Ricky Tiff. As a result-driven individual with strong administrative and leadership expertise, I propose a proven track record of determination of skill with effective communication. And when I first came into Fall River was 1999. My first resident was in Sunset Hill. Fall River was the project. And that time I was single, so then I met my wife in Cambodia in 2000. So we just start work hard, and then we start have our own house in February 2021. And after that, we have a business because I love it here, and we have so many cities that we could choose to open a business. But unfortunately, I told my wife that I love Fall River, and I always told my kid as well too. If you don't like something in the city, you always help to change. Don't move. And I've been trying to get on a council for almost, I think, like since 2015, and I finally got this break, you know, and I'm fresh in there, and I'm trying to learn as many as I can, and thank God to my colleague and some of the current council, they, you know, show me the rope and stuff, and hopefully I will continue to do that. And I know that Fall River right now is kind of hectic, crazy right now, and hopefully that with the right people coming in and, you know, think more about the city and the citizen, not just the status quo or individual group.
Michelle Dion?
Thank you. Good evening. I'd also like to thank Flint Neighborhood Association, FRC Media for taking the time to film this. When I first ran for city council, I had these cards made up. And this was a number of years ago. And on the back, I wrote that I was an advocate for affordable housing, community policing, public safety, and financial responsibility. To this day, I still fight for all of those things. I've never wavered from that. And I don't think there are too many people, elected people, who make promises and are able to keep those promises for a number of years. And as long as I'm on the council, I will continue to do that. I always, may not be the best term to use, but I always refer to people like myself in the South End, the only seated councilor who lives in the South End, as one of the little people. The people who don't always have the voice, the people who need a voice. And not to say that there aren't people in other parts of the city who do. I think it applies to many places in the city. But I guess my point is I've always tried to be that voice for the people. You know, right down to I was the only city councilor this year who voted no on the budget. Why did I vote no on the budget? I thought they were trying to, the raises, excuse me, were considerable, were more than the taxpayers could afford. We were short on the health care. I believe we still are. I didn't feel it was a balanced budget. I tried to get some reductions in the budget. I didn't get the support on it. And I ultimately voted no on the budget. I always am available to anybody who wants to reach out. I had a woman in the Maplewood area who called me a couple of times on different issues. One of the times she called me was 4th of July weekend. It was the Sunday. I answered the phone, and from on the other end of the phone, I heard, "Oh, I can't believe you answered the phone." Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, you called me. That's what I do. I answer the phone. But I understood what she was saying. She was just, you know, it's a holiday weekend, you're answering the phone. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When you ask the people for their vote, when you ask them for their confidence, you ask them for their support, you have to be there for them. And as at-large counselors, we're here for the entire city. Not one street, not one area, not one type of person, but for everybody who lives in this city. Because everything affects everyone. I also truly recognize the financial struggles that many people go through in this city. You know, we have a median income of $31,000 a year. That's not a lot of money. And this day and age, if you're at that $31,000 mark, you qualify for fuel assistance, you qualify for food stamps. And we have to be cognizant of that. We have to understand what it is for people that have to live like that, the difficulties that they're looking at. So that's something else I always try to keep in my mind. I mean, I myself, I don't have an extravagant income, I can tell you that. So maybe that's why I can understand a little more of the people's difficulties. And again, when you're looking at the budget, those are things I try to think about. Because I've always said I've always wanted to represent the people. I truly hope that I'm fortunate enough to have everybody's support again, that I get to represent you for 2 more years. I will continue the fight I started. I will still ask the difficult questions because I do it all the time. I can honestly tell you, and people may not believe it, but when budget time comes around, that budget book is over 200 pages long, and I can tell you I put a minimum of 60 hours into reviewing that budget, going through that budget, taking my notes, etc. So I do take it very, very seriously. November 4th, I'll be number 8 on the ballot. First time I've been above the teens. I'm very happy about that. And I look forward to the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis Mellon?
Well, good evening, and let me thank the Flint Association for having this event, as well as the FRCA, and all of you present here, as well as those watching at home. Who's Lewis Mellon? Well, I was born in the Azores, immigrated to the United States at age 17. Worked in different mills, and went to college and graduated from Boston University. Followed that with military service, served the United States Navy during the Vietnam War. Afterwards, went back to college, graduate school in human resources, and performed the duties of a human resources professional over the last 25 to 30 years. Why am I running for city council? Well, I don't have a single member of my family in the city of Fall River. I chose to move here 30-some years ago, and I called it my home. I still do, but it's not the same home anymore. I want to congratulate Michelle Dion for being the only person who voted against a budget of almost $500 million, or $500 million if you will, when 5 years ago was half of that. I don't know anybody whose salary has doubled in the last 5 years. That makes me think and be pretty sure that we're wasting money we don't have. And you know what happens to people that spend more than they earn. The end is not pretty. I've always been a problem solver myself. I believe in term limits. I don't think government or politics, if you will, should be a career. You should serve and get out. Is it 4 years? Is it 6 years? That's up to you to vote and get it right. But every public position should have a term limit, in my opinion. I believe that we should look again at tax breaks for senior citizens so that they can live a happy life in their own home, which is not the case anymore, unfortunately. My priority one, if I get elected, is safety. We all know what happened this week in the city of Fall River, but it happens every other week in the city of Fall River, unfortunately. We need to staff and finance the police department as it was a few years ago. They short close to 35 people, if I'm not mistaken. That's a lot of people. There's no safety. There's some areas in Fall River you cannot walk at night. It's dangerous. That's not the city I decided to call my home. And I want it back. I want to be able to walk the cities of Fall River freely without fear. Once we do that, once we have people feeling that they're safe, then you can do lots of things. With a budget that large, you should be able to fix our streets, which are not in good condition, as you know. So we have financial problems, but more than that, we have spending problems, which is worse, in my opinion. In any event, I hope there's change this year. That's the word I hear out there every day, change. But it's not with 7% turnout that we're going to make it a change. We need more than that. I beg you out there to go and vote on November 4th. It's important. You are the boss. You are the only one that can change the future of this city, and the future of this city is on the line. So thank you for listening, and I hope that you give me one of your votes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Andrew Raposa.
Good evening, and thank you to the Flint Neighborhood Association for hosting this. I know it's an endeavor to get all of us together to do this, but we appreciate it, and to FRC Media and the team to put it out to the public, and all of you are here tonight. I'll introduce myself, Andrew Raposo, current City Council, looking for re-election this term, but outside of the City Council role, I'm born and raised in Fall River, proud to be a graduate of Durfee High School, the class of 2009. Been involved in many activities in the city of Fall River, youth sports to name a few. Umpired baseball for many years in the city. Spent a lot of time at Lafayette Park and Kennedy Park and Dumont Field over the years, growing up as a youth in the city. Professionally, I am a Catholic school principal here in the city. I've been at Espirito Santo School for 12 years, proudly in the Flint for a long time. The running joke I have usually is I spend more time at the school than I do at my own house. So if anyone here knows the Flint, I've spent a long time in it, and I know what goes on. So I'm proud to be a part of that neighborhood for quite some time. Professionally here on the City Council, I'm looking for re-election to continue some of the work that I have done thus far. One of the big things I truly believe in is that cooperation and teamwork is really the only way we're going to get anything done. And I give kudos to not only my colleagues on this stage and the ones who are not here, but also the candidates running today. Because collectively, we all have the same goal, to move the city forward and work together. And forums like this can be open discussions on how we can do exactly that. Highlighting some of the things I have done thus far, one of the things I pride myself in doing is providing constituent services. And really going out there and talking to people and being with people. For the variety of city events that I've attended, talking to individuals in the city and how we can help move things forward. But not only that, using the position of a city councilor to advocate for those in need, as well as promote the different things that do go on in the city. May it be tourism events, may it be public events, may it be a variety of different things kids can be involved in. I think it's our role not only as legislators to help make laws and roll with them, but also to advocate and be a presence for the community. So that's one thing that I've really enjoyed doing, and I hope I can continue doing that if I'm fortunate to be reelected. Another thing that I've really been interested in is getting a lot of the graffiti removed in the city. Through some of the ARPA money that we attained, we bought a graffiti removal machine, and I have helped advocate and kind of coordinate that process to get some of that cleaned up, because I believe a clean city is great for everybody. Lastly, the thing I will mention, and I've been proud that I was named this past term as one of the 4 of a city council veteran liaisons. Very proud to work with our veterans and get to know them a lot more, because I think the issues that veterans have are unique. So you have to really understand and work with them. And I've been proud to not only work with our veterans in our community, but also with our Veteran Service Officer, Doc Farris, who is fabulous at the job he does, and working with him and the administration to help veterans issues in the city. So just a few highlights of things that I'm proud I've worked on thus far, and I hope to continue to work on. So fortunately, if I am reelected, I will continue to do that and work with my colleagues on the council to continue moving our city forward. I respect and humbly ask for your support November 4th. And again, thank you for the time with us this evening to have this forum. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Christopher Peckham.
Hi, I want to thank the Flint Neighborhood Association for putting this on tonight, also to FRC Media for the coverage. I'm running again because I'm a Fall River kid. Born, bred, I bleed this city. Anybody that knows me knows that that's the truth. Grew up on Rodman Street up until the age of 12, and then from 12 to roughly the age of 35, 36, I lived right here on Colville Street, corner Colville in Bedford, so I became a Flint kid. Growing up, my pride for this city, and I could tell you, when we were children, I played baseball, I was an athlete. Our biggest goal was to get on the All-Star team to wear Fall River across our chest. We were so proud to be from here. We aspired to that. That was, for kids from Rodman Street and the Flint, wearing Fall River across your chest was everything. And I still carry that pride today, and that was due to some great upbringing in these neighborhoods within the south end of the city. Why did I decide to run again? Because this city is turning into an unlivable city. I think about my grandmother. My grandmother was a single mother of 5 kids. My other grandmother, a single mother of 6 kids. They couldn't live here today. They could not live here today. I think back to my father on Rodman Street. We couldn't afford a bike. My father had to build bikes for me to ride, and then would build bikes for the other kids in the neighborhood. That showed the community cohesiveness that no longer exists in this city. We need that back. And I am the voice to bring that back. First time on the council, I was a go-getter and I was very truthful. I was very outspoken. Sometimes to a fault, I do recognize that. But it was my first time on the council, and I had a goal to take on the tough questions and answer them. One of the things that I took on as a city council was returning the police chief back to civil service. Reason for that was to remove the politics from policing. Things that I had saw within the administration, I didn't agree with, and I was the voice of the people. I was elected to be put in place to call out those things and address them. The city council is a co-equal branch of government, and what that means is the city council is the oversight of the administration, your checks and balances. If I saw something that needed to be addressed, if I saw something that was askew and not in the best benefit of you guys, I took it on with no fear at all. And that was because I really take to heart this position. To be back in this neighborhood and to talk to the Flint Neighborhood Association, I used to play in this parking lot as a child. If I drive through this neighborhood now, it's unrecognizable. I drive down Rodman Street, it's unrecognizable. We need to change that. As a child growing up in these neighborhoods, we had our corner stores. We had the same group of friends. I have groups of friends today. My same group of friends is the kids that I grew up with in this city. We need to somehow reach out to these neighborhoods, restore the cohesiveness of them, and stop specifically leaving the south end of Fall River out. We need to specifically stop leaving the Flint sections of the city out, the Corky Road neighborhoods. This city exists south of President Avenue, and I plan on letting everybody know that. I will get into neighborhoods like I did the first time I was in office. I will keep talking to the people, and I will keep giving my heart back to this city. Please, if you don't mind, I would appreciate a vote on November 4th. I'm the longest name on the ballot at number 10. And nobody calls me Christopher except my mother and sometimes my girlfriend, but it's on there. And I would really, really appreciate if you would return me back to the seat, because I have a lot of unfinished business to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Mr. Jonathan Lima.
Hello, thank you. I'd like to use this time to introduce myself. As stated on the name tag, it's Jonathan Lima. I too grew up in Fall River. I've lived in Fall River my whole life. Just like everyone else up here, I love this city, and I'm running because I'm not particularly thrilled with what we see, and I would like to step up and be an element of change. It's very easy to point out faults. It's easy to go online and complain. At some point, you got to step up and be the change you want to see. I'd like to start by highlighting my connection historically to the Flint neighborhood, since this is put on by the Flint Neighborhood Association. When I was a small boy, we lived on McCluskey Street, which nobody outside of Flint probably knows where that is. Before that, my mother grew up on Swindell Street. I spent my elementary school years from kindergarten to 5th grade at Duval School. We went to Immaculate Conception Parish, which is also where I did Boy Scouts. I played baseball Little League at Dumont Field. I remember going to the White Spa with my meme to get lunch and coffee milk. You know, this is a neighborhood that deserves better. It deserves a lot of attention. It's a neighborhood that my family has roots in, and it's a neighborhood that we need to address the issues in so that young families now can sit here in 30 years and say, you know what, I had my roots in the Flint too, and I'm proud of the Flint as well. You know, and you know, I think that a big part of the theme, there's a lot of issues facing the Flint in every neighborhood, right? Everyone's going to talk about public safety. Everyone's going to bring up education. Those are all true. They're all very important. But I think it's a unique opportunity, given this is hosted by a neighborhood association, to address what is really the hardest conversation and what I believe the root of all the issues to be. It starts at the community. All right. When you talk about the Flint today, I think a lot of people have an image of a geographic area in their mind. And that's true. That's one definition of a neighborhood. But I think predominantly in years gone by, the definition of a neighborhood was more synonymous with a community, with people that could rely on each other, people that respected each other, people that worked together, that helped each other. And that is absolutely at the fundamental core of all of the issues this city faces. It just is. Public safety can be aided and addressed with funding, and we can add more cops, and we can get more community policing, and all of that is stuff that I am absolutely in favor of. But at the end of the day, a respect for your neighbor and a respect for your community, a pride in your community, is the root cause of these issues. It just is. Having a police officer on a corner when somebody's going to get assaulted will stop that assault, but it doesn't address the issue that that person didn't respect the sanctity of the other person's life, right? And it's only a matter of time before that person is walking on that corner and there's not a cop there. So, you know, it's going to be a hard conversation that this city has to have, but, you know, between the mayor's office and the city council and various other organizations, some paid, some volunteer, community engagement and community development has to be at the forefront of this city's future. And with your vote on November 4th, that would be by far my biggest priority, trying to get the involvement of the communities back to where it used to be, trying to get the city to focus more thoroughly on local community organizations, working together to hear their problems and to address it in a way that is wholesome, right? That we can all work together, because the reality is there's only 9 city councils in Fall River and 1 mayor. So if we're going to change the makeup and the attitude of a whole community, there's going to have to be a lot of heavy lifting by the citizens within that community, not just the people on the council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are now going to start with questions. Al? You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, I want to personally thank you guys for putting yourselves out there and, exposing your political views to the public. So the first question I have is, what type of economic development initiatives or businesses would you like to see come to the Route 79 waterfront? How do you plan on supporting their growth and success?
This question, we're going to start with Ricky Tith, because Michael opened it up. So Ricky?
Hello. As we all know, Route 79, we have a beautiful waterfront, and we never thought that it's going to be, take out the highway and a project's going to come in. And I'm hoping that the project will be having some storefronts, so we could have a business there, which is like, it will line up right in with the waterfront as well. Because if you put more market rate housing on that lot, then it will like cloud, like a dark cloud in Fall River. So we want some storefront there and some vibrant walking boardwalk. And we already got the piers already. And it'd be awesome if we have some boat to come in, to stop right there, and then have some nice dinner instead of everybody going out to Providence, to Newport. And hopefully I could advocate with them to get the project moving. And as economic development, as we all know, myself, I want to get more business coming to Fall River, because if we have more business coming to Fall River, then we will have revenue, more revenue, and then we will have that revenue for police.
Michelle?
I anticipated there'd be a question about the waterfront. So I just want to read this first. We have a master plan that was paid for by the RDA. It talks about mixed use, and I think most people agree there should be mixed use on the waterfront. But I want to read what the definition of that is, because I think some people don't really quite know what that means. Mixed-use development is a type of urban planning that combines residential, commercial, and/or other uses into a single project or neighborhood. This approach integrates different functions like housing, offices, retail, and public spaces, often in a way that is pedestrian-friendly and encourages people to live, work, and play in the same area. Those are the components that make something like the 79 corridor work. With the influx of people, you're going to have more people with expendable income. You're going to have your foot traffic. I know that down the road, the city council will play a part in it. Do we have a part in it now? Not really. They haven't even determined yet. Is the RDA going to be in control of it? Is the state going to take control? Is it going to be a partnership? It's looking more and more like it will be a partnership with the RDA and the state. I think we need to diversify some of the restaurants that come in. I'm a strong advocate for entertainment venues. You want entertainment, where do you go? You don't stay in Fall River. You go to Providence, you go to Boston, you go to Newport. We need to bring that here. We want people from the outside to come here, spend money in our city, eat in our restaurants, and then go back home again. We don't really need, that's it, I'm done.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis Mellon?
Well, economic development, specifically the Route 79 area, is a long plan. It's going to take a number of years. I've read the master plan from page to the end, from first page to the end, and I understand it pretty well. I understand that RDA, the state, and to a certain degree the federal government are involved, and everyone has to play together. The city council, the mayor, RDA, the state, and the feds as well. And if we can achieve that, and I think we can, we're probably going to have the best looking waterfront in the state of Massachusetts. And wouldn't that be great for Fall River? Now, my understanding is whatever building is done there, the first floor has got to be for commerce, period. Just a couple of days ago, I read about some Boston developer wanted to build an 8 or 9 story building. No go. There's a limit. But we must keep it that way. Stores, some commerce, housing above, plenty of parking, obviously, and one thing that's missing in the city of Fall River presently, and that's entertainment. Got to mix that in. Some of those buildings must provide first floor space for entertainment. There's no place for teenagers to go in this city. They go to Providence, they go to Newport, they even go to Taunton, a smaller city. And it's our fault. We haven't done much about that. Everybody talks about market rate housing. That's a euphemism. There's no such thing. The market is what it is, and you cannot control it, especially these days with population coming in, and not the type of population that it would help in terms of economic development. Thank you.
Mr. Andrew Raposa.
So I think the question more focuses on, the investment of small business, because small business is the backbone of our economy. Small business is the ones who are going to help bring tax revenue to the city and then reduce the tax burden on everyone. But a bigger thing that I'm more concerned about those small businesses is streamlining the process of becoming a small business in Fall River. From a lot of small business owners I've spoken to, it can be a little troublesome to try to get a small business started in Fall River, going to different floors of different departments and what have you. The city invested in streamlining a permitting process, which is great. But I think we need to take it a step further and actually get together with our small businesses that are existing in the city of Fall River and find out what pitfalls did you run into when you started a small business here in the city, and how can we collaboratively fix that? More often than not, small businesses are getting squeezed out. We need to help those small businesses thrive. And if you put small businesses down at the waterfront, along with what's already existent, I think that's a great step forward for it to thrive. To the entertainment point, I think it's important that we have a great Norton Pier down there. And during the summer, I attended a bunch of events that happened down there. There was one particular, it was a concert out on the Norton Pier. There were hundreds of people there. And a lot of people not from Fall River, coming out in from neighboring cities and towns, as well as residents of the city. And they were having a blast. That's just one small example of the potential that we could take on the waterfront and in the surrounding areas, like the Narrows, for example, another great venue that we have in that area of the city. So we have a great start. We're going to continue moving forward, but the city really needs to work harder at trying to support our small businesses, which again, will really help everybody. But I think it's important that we streamline that process, as well as hear from them how the city can improve their process to start a business here in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Christopher Peckham.
I would like to see any type of revenue-generating business down there. Anything to take the burden off the taxpayer. They've had enough. Also, I had mentioned in the last forum, we need places for kids to go. We're constantly, we complain about the trouble the kids get into in the neighborhood. We don't give them anything to do. So if we had something down there that brought the kids in, also it brought revenue to the city, that'd be fantastic. 6,652 new multifamily units in the city of Fall River was what we were mandated to build through the MBTA Act when we brought the train in. 40% of that has to be within a half a mile of the train station. My fear is that they stray away from the master plan and shove a bunch of housing into there. If we look at the property just, to the east of the train station, they just shoved 3 houses on Durfee Street that are so close. I know they say this jokingly sometimes, you could stick your hand out the window to give your neighbor sugar. Like, we don't need that. We got enough housing that they're stuffing in on street corners over there for market rate pricing in awful neighborhoods. Let's just be honest, there's some public safety issues that surround the train station. I think a problem with our economic development is we're all on our high horse for the 79 project while we neglect the rest of the city. We're all focused on the 79 project, while just to the east of that location, the city's falling apart. So I think from an economic standpoint, we're bringing people into the city. They better live in a bubble down there because they're not going to be able to venture outside of that location. So I think we have to really build on the outskirts of that as well, and make this city more attractive to visitors. Thank you.
Mr. Jonathan Lima.
With regards to the waterfront specifically, you know, Fall River is blessed. It really is. We've got a beautiful waterfront. You spend one night on the deck down at the Cove and watch the sunset behind the Braga Bridge and the Battleship, and you know that there's absolutely no reason that the Fall River waterfront can't rival Newport or Bristol or any other location. But you don't even have to go to those locations. You know, this is going back many years, but at one point I would spend some nights in New Bedford, the bottom of Union Street, and I always wondered, they've got all this foot traffic and all this commerce and all these businesses here, and they're thriving. And there's no excuse for Fall River not to have the same thing. But I think there's two very crucial things that need to be focused on down at the waterfront. And one is that there needs to be accessibility to small local businesses to get in there. And there's no shortage of a desire for entrepreneurship, right? There's been to the credit of the local community, there's been a lot of little restaurants that have popped up in areas on County Street, South Main Street, you name it. There's no shortage of people trying to open businesses. We got to bring give those local people access to the waterfront. The other thing is this, as the city council is going to have to do a lot to put some ordinances in place to encourage the type of touristy visiting that we're talking about. People will need to have outdoor seating. People will need to have pedestrian access to roadways maybe. There's going to have to be people allowed to drink outside of buildings, not in the public roadway. But we've got to create an environment where a Bristol or Newport type atmosphere can even exist.
Thank you. Mr. Michael Canuel? Is your button on?
Sorry about that. When it comes to what I want to see down at Route 79, as I've kind of asked around over the last several months with voters and residents of the city, they keep telling me they want to see what was promised to them, which is the master plan, as was referenced. That's what they want to see. They want to see a lot of green space down there. They want to see restaurants. They want to see shops. They don't want to see 8-story buildings, is what the residents have been telling me. They want to keep those beautiful views towards the waterfront. They've bought property down there. They want to continue to see those views down there. I've seen things that we're going to potentially bring a lot of people down there, and I'm starting to worry if we put 5,000 people and businesses down there, what the public safety impact might be. When I think about the closest fire station or ambulance, if someone is in need, they have to get from Stanley Station 4.5 minutes down President Avenue, or maybe it's Bedford Street. But when I think about what we used to have down in that area close by, being used at the Fire Museum, the fire station next to Morton, that used to be a location for where we got an immediate response. And if we're going to do a lot of development down there, I think we need to also be having this conversation. I'd love to see a developer come in and do what I've seen in other cities and towns on those main street areas where they've gotten in and provided a station as part of a building, as part of a business. Maybe it's a real estate business on the second floor or a lawyer's office, and on the first floor you have fire trucks and ambulance right there. Think about a 1-minute response time down in that area and what that could mean to people who are having a heart attack or a building on fire or a house on fire. So whatever we do, we need to be thoughtful about it. This can be the best waterfront it can be, but if we are going to put a lot of people down there, I think we need to have a lot of foreplanning about how we're going to make sure that everybody is safe down there and that things don't burn down quickly. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Question number 2, we're going to start with Michelle Dion. There has been chatter about changing the way Fall River has been governed, specifically changing from a mayor to a city manager. Do you agree or disagree? And there's a second part to this question. What are your thoughts, and do you feel it will give the city council too much power and the citizens not enough power?
I'm glad you asked that. I've been advocating for that for a couple of years now. I absolutely believe we should change our form of government to a Plan E form of government, which was with a city manager. Some of the pros on that, I actually don't even really see any cons, but I'm sure there are some, and people would come up with some. Some of the pros, it would save hundreds of thousands of dollars in the budget right out of the chute. You have certain positions in government now that would no longer be necessary. We could offer a salary that was a good salary to get a qualified, highly qualified individual to come and apply for the position of city manager. And we would have to, on my part, we need to set the bar very high. This is the criteria, these are the requirements, and you have to meet them. There's no, oh, because I know somebody, I don't have, no. It has to be a very qualified individual. It takes the politics, not all, a lot of the politics out. Nobody's beholding to anybody. Nobody's running around looking for campaign donations. Nobody's making campaign donations. The individual is hired. They run it from a financial point of view. And in terms of, does it give the city council too much authority and the people not enough? No, not if you do it correctly. The town of Worcester, the city council, when they changed to Plan E, completely gave away all of their power. Cambridge has an excellent Plan E. It's a good balance between the city manager and the city council. And then you also have a member of the city council who is I just lost the word, the mayor, it's the mayor, ceremonial mayor. Yeah.
Mr. Lewis Mellon.
Well, I'm not so sure that a city manager is going to take politics away from city government. It does not in the city of Cambridge. Very much the contrary. What we need is perhaps a little more power in terms of budgeting, for example, within the city council, and less with the mayor. That's what we need. To change to a city council, a city manager, in my opinion, is not going to take politics away from government systems. It never did, never will. We need a mayor who works together with the city council and with the finance department so that everyone is aware how we're spending the money that we're spending, because right now nobody knows. We spend $500 million, and you can ask anybody, and they don't really know where the money goes. It's a lot of money. We're spending more than we have, than we earn or receive from taxpayers, and the end result is, well, we'll just increase property taxes next year. And we accept that as normal. It's not normal. It's not. If you look at the relationship between earnings, average earnings of the population and property tax, we're very high. And people will say, well, we pay less than Somerset or some other town around here. Yeah, but the earnings over there are much higher. Therefore, the gap doesn't really match. So that's what we need, is more cooperation between city departments, between city council and the mayor's office. And let me tell you, we need some competent people doing certain jobs at City Hall, which we don't have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Andrew Raposa.
I don't think that solves the problem. I think it starts all the way at the top. I think there is a desire to maybe balance the power a little bit between the mayor's office and the city council. You know, we have a system here in Fall River. It's a strong mayor, weak council system. The scope of the city council as legislatures is very small. So first and foremost, I would like to see some additional shift in authority and power, which again makes it more of an equal branch versus it not being. That's the reality of the situation. But the one thing to the question about the people losing their voice, I think the problem right now is we don't value enough, like, for example, the Flint Neighborhood Association and other neighborhood associations, we don't value them enough. We don't listen to them enough. You know, we don't go out enough to talk to these individuals who attend these meetings and say, this is what's going on in my neighborhood, and then be able to take that back to work on. So I think before we even discuss changing city of government, let's talk about how we get more involved with the people, how we get them more involved to understand their issues and their concerns. But to my colleague to my right here, I agree with him that in the sense that having competent people, no matter what form of government you have, having competent people who have the relative experience as well as the proof that they have been able to do some of the work that they're going for is critical to our success going forward. Again, collaboration is key, but if we're not talking to one another and agreeing to disagree, we're not going to get anything done. So let's talk about focusing more on our people, listening to what their issues are, how we can take them back and fix them, but also getting the competent people to solve the problems that we have, that we face here in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Christopher Peckham.
Twofold. I think in our current political environment with this current administration, we should have went to a city manager 6 years ago. Where the city manager would suffice would be, it would take a lot of the nepotism out of what happens in this city. I can name a few: the ZBA, the RDA, our local state representatives, the 79 project. There's quite a bit here. Local banking. Everything is connected to that 6th floor. I think an outside city manager would be good for us right now in the current times, and I've always been very vocal about that. Do I see that one would be better than the other? I really can't say, because if we had a mayor's office that worked with the city council and didn't always try to get something by the city council and actually treated them as a co-equal branch of government and gave them their, due power, not sneaking budgets through on a 45-day rule, that would work. So there's a twofold answer here. They can both work. Do I think that the city manager would take the power away from the city council? I don't. You're still doing your job, and you're still the voice of the people. You're still doing your constituent services, and you're getting your job done. But yes, I think right in our current times, I would be all for a city manager. But if we get somebody on the 6th floor that's willing to work with the city council and push the city forward together, that would work as well.
Good, thank you. Mr. Jonathan Lima.
Thank you. No, I would not be in favor of replacing the mayor with a city manager. I think that having a mayor of Fall River is a tradition that we have. It's something we've had since the founding of this great city. And I think the people of this city absolutely deserve to have an executor that is elected and accountable to them. A city manager may not be an elected official, but they're beholden to someone. They didn't just show up and sign up, right? Like, they're serving at the will of someone, and they're equally prone to influence. They're equally prone to managing in a way that benefits their friends or family. None of that would be solved. Do I wish that we had a different mayor? Yeah, but that is what it is, right? That's up to the people of Fall River, right? The people need to get out and they need to vote. But as far as the balance of power, the balance of power really only matters in an adversarial environment, right? And you hear several people talk about how the mayor's office has to work with the city council. I think it's equally appropriate in this day and age to point out that city council has to work amicably with the mayor. I assume a lot of the people here watch the city council meetings. And, sometimes I feel bad for some of the people that are sitting at that table. I saw cross-examinations on court TV that were maybe a little more lenient than some of that. So a little civility and a little teamwork, a little cooperation between the mayor's office and the city council is absolutely needed. But there should be a mayor of Fall River.
Thank you. Mr. Michael Caniel.
Here we go.
Sorry.
Stop touching that button.
I haven't touched it at all, actually. Roll back the tape. I think, I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about the pros and cons of each side of this. I think this is a recent thing that we've been hearing about. I think there are definitely pros and cons on each side. It works well in other communities. I don't know if it would work really well here. I don't know if it would, as some others have stated, I don't know if it would solve the problems that we have or make them go away. We've had some really great mayors. I think back to, I wasn't around for him, but I hear so many things. Carlton Viveris, right? And we think about the times under Carlton Viveris. So we've had some really great mayors. I'd like to think that, when we established our form of government the way it is, there was some forethought that this was the best for Fall River and that we shouldn't change it necessarily because we don't like the current mayor or they're not working together. People can make those changes every 2 years when they need to be. That said, I'm certainly open to the conversation, and if it's what the people want, we're here to represent them. So I would be in favor of supporting a ballot initiative to gauge people's interest if that's something they'd like to do. Certainly go with the will of the people. Thank you.
Ricky?
Hello? Okay. I'm in favor of, I'm willing to try anything because if it's having a mayor for Fall River it's not work, then try the city manager. But at the end, it doesn't matter who's going to be there, but we just have to have a clear communication from 6th floor to the council chamber. Because if you don't have a clear communication and you have something like meeting agenda just coming like in 1 week or a day, then a councilor don't have no chance to prepare for that. So I'm willing to try that, and we have to hold accountability, and we have to do more transparency because right now at this point, we all could agree that there is no accountability and no transparency in our government, and this is why the question why the people don't go out and vote, because time and time, every time when they vote in, they don't care about the community. So that's what we need to do.
Good, thank you. Question number 3, we're going to start with Louis Mellum. Al?
So we'll bring it back home here with this one. What will be visibly better in the Flint by October 2026 if you are elected? Name one promise to which we can hold you accountable to.
It's hard to pick one. There's many things needed in Flint. But mostly, they need to get people involved. Look at this building. There's about 20 people that volunteer almost every day. I'm one of them. To keep this building as is and to serve the neighborhood and the community. The Flint needs the same thing. I go to the Flint Association meetings. There's 5 or 6 people, and we should be hundreds, because it is one of the neighborhoods in the city that needs more help. So we need to get people involved, most of all. Government hasn't gotten involved very much either. But whenever there's people involvement, government follows, because they know where the vote comes from. So it's hard for me to pick one particular area in the Flint, but I'll just leave it at that. Flint needs the population of the Flint to get involved on everything that happens at the Flint and everything that does not happen at the Flint that should be happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Andrew Raposa.
Al, can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What will be visibly better in the Flint by October 2026 if you are elected? Name one promise that we can hold you accountable to.
I think to get the Flint up and running, once again, you need to invest in its infrastructure. So that's something I would want to advocate for. You can't get into the Flint, you can't travel in the Flint, you can't walk. One of the things that drives me nuts particularly is on Pleasant Street, there is a building with a fence around it and a sidewalk that's inaccessible. It's inexcusable. And I've asked about it. I'm like, why do we still have a fence around it? I get the safety aspect, but now you have people walking in the middle of the street, and which is a huge safety issue. So The infrastructure for me is key number one, because again, if you want somebody to come in and invest in the Flint and they drive down the street and they're buckling and bumping around, they're going to keep driving through the Flint and somewhere else. So my key would be to invest in the infrastructure. Getting the people involved is huge, but again, like all of you sitting in front of me who are involved in the Flint, myself included, who've been around for quite some time, you know, we had opportunities to continue to work with people. I'll give you a perfect example, was at the old Duval School with the Gates of Hope Food Pantry. The city could have put a hand out to help that situation out, to keep that in the Flint. Thankfully, you know, to Faith and to that organization, I was able to work with them to keep them in the Flint, because the people in the Flint needed that resource, and it continues to thrive today. There is an example of public-private partnerships and public officials getting involved to make things happen. Investing in your people is key to the success. Thank you.
Mr. Christopher Peckham.
One promise I can make is to be there. When I was a city council the first time, I spoke to a gentleman.
No.
They already silenced my microphone. I haven't gotten elected yet. So one thing I plan on doing is being there. Not to throw him out there, but Jake Auchincloss comes down one time, we never see him again, and the Flint still looks the same way. When I was a city council the first time, I went to the Flint. I had spoken to a gentleman. He owns a business in the Flint. Wanted to buy an entire city block. Wanted to buy the old hardware store property, turn it into a peace garden. He had amazing ideas. Fell by the wayside, and it never came to fruition. I don't know why, but I would like to see stuff like that happen. ADA compliance is a big issue with a lot of those buildings, so a lot of the storefronts can't open up due to the American with Disabilities Act's compliances. I would like to see something happen, maybe offer TIFs or ties. I'm not a big TIF or tie guy, but if we're going to give it to businesses to open up and revive the Flint, I would be for that. Again, revenue generating business, this time in the Flint, and we're looking somewhere, thank God, outside of Route 79 to spruce up the city. I keep hearing that the Flint can't return to its heyday. I'm a big history guy. I have plenty of postcards of the Flint lit up, Christmas time. Why can't we? That's my question. Why can't we? I would love to see that happen. So the promise to you guys is that I will go back like I did the first time I was in office and try to help and come up with a way, like I said, the ADA compliancy, maybe a TIF, a tie for a business owner, to help them suit that building to make sure it's capable of being utilized. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jonathan Lima.
Thank you. You know, there's a lot going on in the Flint, and it's got a rich history. And my commitment to you would be involvement. I think this goes back to what I said in my opening statement about the need for community engagement. You know, I'm completely in favor of maybe entertaining some tax incentive type of approach to get people to move businesses down there. But at the end of the day, there's a huge public safety issue in the Flint. And in my opinion, there's a big cultural issue in the Flint. There's a reason there's so many empty storefronts. There's a reason people don't want to move their businesses in there. And a lot of it has to do with community engagement and getting the new generation of Flint residents to take the level of pride in the Flint neighborhood as my grandparents and your parents and grandparents once did and to some extent still do, right? But the reality is, it's like when I spoke earlier about my growing up in the Flint, the majority of residents in the Flint today probably have no idea what the White Spa even was. They don't have that history to draw a sense of pride in that community. And so we've got to get down into the community, and we've got to figure out how to engage people, how to engage the residents to take more pride and be more involved in that area of the city. That's the only way that you're going to create an environment that's inviting to new businesses, that's inviting for people to walk the streets and frequent those businesses. The community engagement has to be the name of the game in the Flint, because the improvement's going to have to come from the roots up. It will not come from the mayor's office down.
Mr. Michael Canyon.
Well, the question is, what will be visibly better by 2026, and a promise that you can hold me accountable for. So, as a counselor, I'm just one of 5, right? I can advocate for things, and by 2026, that's not very far away. So what I can promise you is that the Flint will be visibly cleaner in 2026, because I'll go out there and do it myself. I've already been out there in the neighborhoods cleaning them up. I'll be at one on Saturday morning coming. I'll be out there cleaning up the neighborhoods, picking up the trash. I'll bring my weed whacker if I have to. We're going to make the Flint look cleaner. So that's something you can take to the bank. I will help make the Flint visibly cleaner by 2026.
Mr. Ricky Tiff.
First, you could hold me accountable of bringing one business coming into Flint, and hopefully by the time of maybe summer 2026 or the latest 2027, the business that I'm going to bring in to the Flint is the senior adult daycare center, which is it's going to be Portuguese and it's going to be Cambodian. And this is not just a adult daycare center when you could just go there play bingos and all this. It's going to be registered nurse in place, a facility with lunch is free, and then a snack, and then they have a program that you go in there, you do some exercise, and you have once a week people come in, do pedicures, and there's a relaxation station, and people just go there and hang out, because as we all know, our senior is isolated and they don't have nowhere to go, because I have parents that have a stroke and they all owe, and every time when they finish picking up the kid from school, they have nothing to go just there. But if they have a facility like that, they will be more happier. And also like the nurse and the doctor, they will love that. And this is going to be coming in 2026. And we are already in the process of bringing that, and we're looking at the Walgreen that is just close to Asian House, and hopefully it will still available.
Very good, thank you. Michelle Dion.
So for a second, I'm going to go back to the last question, because I want people to understand that we can't just change our form of government because we want to. The City Council can't change our form of government. What would have to happen is the mayor would have to send an order to the City Council. The City Council would have to vote on it. It would be sent to the General Court in Boston through a home rule petition to request that we're allowed to put a question on the ballot to ask the residents and the voters of Fall River if they want to change their form of government. So it would or wouldn't happen based on how the residents of this city feel and if they wanted to do it. So I don't want anybody to think that anybody's going to jump over people. There's a process to it. In terms of the Flint, what would I like to see in 2026? I would like to see life in the Flint like I've seen it before. I would like to see businesses in the Flint again. I would like to see the city help streamline that, make it easier for the businesses to come into the Flint. Obviously, again, the City Council on its own can't do it, but we could work collaboratively with a mayor, whoever that mayor may be, whoever the City Council may be. I don't know who it's going to be. We'll know in 2 weeks. That together, that the administration could come up with a plan that they can bring before the City Council, we can have the discussion, and hopefully move forward towards that type of vision in 2026.
Thank you. Question number 4, it's going to go to the incumbents. We are going to start with Andrew Raposo. You have now had access to internal budgets and executive sessions. What would you change about how information is shared with the public?
Make it public. We work for the people. I don't know how else you answer that. Like, we do public work, we work for the people, it's public, period, end of conversation. And I think to elaborate a little bit more, like, we need to do a better job of communicating with people and telling them what's going on. We just, as a principal, like, we just can't assume people are going to know things. We have to tell them. and you have to accept the fact that you have to use different forms of communication to do it. You just can't expect to print flyers and they're going to read it. Like email, text, whatever options we have. And as a city, let's get that word out in the multiple platforms that we have. But just be public about it. If we're having a meeting and something's going on, tell people about it, educate them about it. That's, knowledge is power, period. So make it public, period.
Thank you. Ricky?
Just like my colleagues say, open to the public, because there's nothing should be hiding. I mean, if you're hiding, that means you're covering for some yourself or somebody that's doing it wrong. So why not? Then every election, why you say, oh, there's transparency? Well, it's not transparency if you cover it up. If you have it go into executive session, after that, just open it. Accept the facts that you make a mistake, and apologize.
Thank you. Michelle Dion?
Okay, so you mentioned executive session. I think that's kind of the key to this whole question. Can you repeat the question again? Because it almost sounded twofold in a respect.
Sure. You have now had access to internal budgets and executive sessions. What would you change about how information is shared with the public?
Okay. I don't know where we've had internal budget discussions in executive session. I don't know when or where that has happened. I've been in executive session twice. The first time was in 2020. The second time was this past Tuesday. There's specific reasons why you go into executive session. School committee does it all the time because they discuss budgets, they do contracts, a lot of work, that type of work. We don't do that. Our budgets are all public. Our budget season is public, to the point where I think people fall asleep, and I wouldn't blame them. It's not. So in 2020, we went into executive session with the police chief at the time. He was discussing strategies to combat crime. Strategies is how they were going to approach it. Discussions about sensitive, discussions about cameras, where they'd be located. So it was something you don't want to do publicly, because now you're telling the element that you're trying to eliminate how you're going to eliminate them. So in that respect, that's not something you'd ever want to do publicly, because you don't want to put that sort of thing at risk. So I guess that's the best answer I can give you, is by giving you that example and saying, I don't believe ever that there's been an executive session in city council that involves finances or budgets.
Very good. Thank you. Our question number 5, we're going to start with Christopher Peckham. Al?
Residents are feeling the pressure of rising costs and increasing taxes that would worsen, and the increasing taxes would worsen that burden. What specific strategies would you support to generate additional revenue for the city without raising the taxes on the city residents?
So what I would want to see to raise additional revenue? All right, first and foremost, as far as the taxes, I've already stated quite a few times, I'm a no vote on all tax increases. Until we get some type of, I'd like to see a forensic audit done on DCM, audit across the board. Our budget needs to be brought back to zero and all city essential services taken care of first. If we do that, then it lessens the chances of keep having to go back to the taxpayer. What I would like to see happen, the parking garages just came up. Fixing them, to utilize them and bring in revenue. Anything the city can do to bring in revenue. The Bank Street Armory sat there for how long now? Not utilized. We've had a couple of rumors of buyers, and it never comes to fruition. We need to have, somebody's got to light a fire under the city to get stuff done. Again, any revenue generating business, I don't care what it is, they can create a kick the can business, and was that the game back in the day, kick the can? Yeah, I don't care what it is. Bring in businesses that create revenue so the city has more money to work with and we stop going to the taxpayer. My ultimate goal here, sitting here today, is to stop going to the taxpayer for government mishaps with the budget. So yeah, anything that brings in money.
Thank you. Mr. Jonathan Lima.
Well, I'll start by saying that, bringing in revenue is one half of the story. right? Living within your means is the second half of the story. So, you know, we've got a city budget that in 2016 was $252 million. The proposal now is $516 million, right? And things go up. No one's disputing that. Anyone who goes grocery shopping, anyone who lives in the world knows that the price is going up. But this is an astronomical increase. That being said, you know, to drive revenue, I think that we really got to focus a lot on small business and getting companies to come to Fall River. And, you know, we hear a lot about TIFs and tax breaks and things, and it seems in recent years that the bulk of that push, the bulk of that economic lever is focused on housing. And it's focused on mostly large development of housing for people that arguably need the TIFs the least. I think that if we are going to engage in curtailment of taxes to incentivize coming to Fall River, that should be largely focused on business, especially small local business, and not on housing. Those businesses will drive commerce. They will raise the tax base long-term in the city of Fall River, and that is where the focus should be.
Thank you. Mr. Michael Canio.
Well, I'd like to just comment briefly on the question we weren't afforded an opportunity to speak about, which was the executive sessions. I really would love to see our counselors, when they're done with an executive session, just kind of summarize for the citizenry what was kind of talked about. I think Michelle Dion gave a brief synopsis of what was talked about in the last one, and I think just publicly going on their Facebook pages or posting that, I think would be really helpful to residents. But to answer the question about raising revenue, one way we can increase public safety without raising taxes is being smarter with traffic enforcement and using data. I looked at data at the Bank Street Neighborhood Association meeting. On Northeastern Avenue southbound in June, only 2 speeding citations were issued, even though 7,112 cars were going 10 to 19 miles over the speed limit, and 525 of them were cruising 60 miles per hour or more in that 40 mile per hour zone. That's a lot of risk just on one road. Back when I was a kid, police coverage was much broader. We had a dozen cars on patrol most of the time, plus motorcycles, walking beats, park police, cemetery police, and environmental police. Today, we have about 10 cars with 1 officer each, and several specialized units like parks and cemetery police no longer exist. Kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone too, because simply having officers present on the streets and in neighborhoods makes people feel safer and encourages safer behavior, which is a huge benefit in and of itself. If we dedicated officers to high area risk areas like that, just 1 road could generate enough revenue through citations to cover the salary of a full-time officer in 1 month. And even over the non-winter months, that could fund multiple officers or even additional fire coverage without touching taxpayers' pockets. Thank you.
Mr. Ricky Tith.
On revenue, you know, there, like they say, there's many ways to skin a cat. And we have to look at the ordinance and also the charge permit. Because right now, like for example, let's say special permit is popping everywhere now. But do we have a amount of charge for the permit? Because I don't know how much it costs yet, but I think we should raise up more. Right? And we should never raise on taxes for people. We should go there and tackle all the permit that for doing business, especially firefighter. They say they don't have no revenue coming in. Why? This should be, because when they go out there first inspection, it's free, okay? But then the second, it should be a charge. And then the speeding, there's no how much it will say on the street, say if you speed, how much it costs. How come? That's the kind of things that we have to look into the ordinance and look into the fee for the process.
Thank you. Michelle Dion.
Yeah, whether you generate new revenue or you cut expenses, it accomplishes the same goal. So I, a couple of years back, had made the statement that I thought that the city should move forward with putting up billboards and renting them. One of the city councilors made the statement, oh, 50 grand a year per billboard, that's chump change. Well, wouldn't we be happy to have 4 billboards that generated $200,000 a year now? And we could do it. Another one made a comment, oh, that's blight, billboards are blight. Okay, I'm all over the city, I see billboards. So are those 4 more, is that gonna hurt? No, it's gonna help, it's gonna generate revenue. At the same token, I personally, as one counselor, I can only speak for myself, I could name a couple of positions in government that I think are completely unnecessary, and the combination of the two, again, would save over $200,000. So if we generate $200,000 and we save $200,000, that's an increase in revenue of $400,000. And that's the approach I would take.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis Mellon.
Well, first of all, I want to go back to the question that was asked of the incumbents and not of us. Because, first of all, there's no such thing as executive sessions in terms of budgeting. None. There are some, like with the police department that was mentioned. But as far as the budget, there's no such thing as executive sessions. What we have is a council that doesn't get involved and does not know what goes on in those meetings about budgets. All they basically do is sit downstairs and vote yes or no at the end. They cannot increase anything by rule. They can decrease or try to decrease. But in most cases, they just vote yes or no without knowing exactly what took place in Department A, B, or C. That's how it is. Council needs to get involved in every single department in terms of budgeting. I go back to the same situation where we're spending twice as much as we did 5 years ago, and nobody knows why. As far as bringing in revenue, there's only 3 ways to do it. One, you make it easier for business applicants, which is very difficult right now in Fall River to start a business. People tell me sometimes it takes 6 to 8 months in order to get a small business started. That's ridiculous. Should not happen. The second is you bring in business if you are friendly to business, as I said on point number 1. And number 3, and most importantly, you decrease expenditures, which is what we don't do and should do more of it. Thank you.
Mr. Andrew Raposa.
So the other night at the other forum that we did, they asked about the parking garages. And the reality is like we have existing revenue right now that we can enhance using the money that we generate from that existing revenue to make it better, to continue to make more revenue. Some individuals said just get rid of it and sell it. And that's really not, that's shortchanged to not really gonna help the city move forward. Secondly, we talk about the small businesses once again. You know, tax incentives to small businesses make that process easier for them to open that small business, which then generates more revenue for the city. But third and foremost, I think when it comes to marketing the city, we tend to do this thing where we do it a little while, we stop, we hit the reset button and do it all over again and recreate the wheel. When we actually have some proven abilities to market the city outside of the city and invest a little bit of that money to tell people that we're open for business, we're open for new development, we're open for new ideas. You look at our industrial park that is pretty full, but again, businesses are changing and evolving, and we need to be open to working with anyone who wants to come do business in the city to help the city continue to thrive forward. But it's an open mind. We got to let people outside of our walls and our borders know that we're open for more business and help them get there. The process right now is complicated. We need to clean that process up and make it more welcoming for those who want to invest in their small businesses in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. We have run out of time. We've been at questions for an hour. So we are now going to start with closing statements, starting with Jonathan Lima and work itself down to Michael Canio. 5 minutes.
All right, I think I can do that. Now, thank you so much for having us here, for giving us this opportunity to get our views out and our ideas out. I'd just like to reiterate that, you know, I'm raising my kids here. I love this city. I'm invested in this city. And I genuinely want to be the person to step up and help make a change. I would love to be able to sit back many years from now and believe in my heart that my children have more opportunity and greater success and better safety and better schools than maybe we have here today. I've talked about community development, community outreach. That is absolutely going to be one of my biggest and center pillars, because I believe it impacts every issue this city faces. I've talked a lot about government working together. Look, this is a town with less than 100,000 people. There's 9 councilors and 1 mayor. There is absolutely no reason why 10 human beings in a small community like this can't get together and do what's right for the betterment of the citizens in this city. The divisiveness has got to stop. The pettiness has got to stop. The political grandstanding and stuff has got to stop. We got to put our differences aside and work together. I've been working at different levels of management for 25 years of my life. I have been quite successful at it. I have worked in small companies. I've worked in large companies. I've managed people beneath me. I've managed my relationships across an organization. I've done plenty of managing relationships up the organization. I believe in my heart that I will be able to apply the skills I've learned in private sector management to driving cooperation, progress, and change within City Hall in Fall River, Massachusetts. I would greatly appreciate anyone's consideration. I ask you all to, above all, vote on November 4th. Get involved. I would specifically request that you vote for me. But at the very least, please go out and vote, because this city needs the help of its citizens to improve. Things will never change without each and every one of you listening tonight going out and expressing your views through the power of your vote. So please vote. Thank you.
Mr. Christopher Peckham.
Again, thank you guys for having us here tonight. I'm just going to go back to my opening statement. I'm going to be your voice. The first time on the council, I had no problem using it. I had no problem doing what was right for the people. I bring integrity, and I just bring heart. I have heart for I love this city. When I tell you that, I couldn't mean it anymore. I want what's best for the city. I want what's best for its people. And I just want, again, and people refer to everybody working together. That would be a great thing. It really would be for this city. The political atmosphere in this city has turned into a nightmare. But that doesn't happen. And you need somebody there that's going to be ready to call somebody out when they're trying to do something that's not in your best interest. I was that guy the first time. I'll be that guy this time. I just have an unwavering passion to get back involved to help this city. And again, if you could give me a vote on November 4th, number 10 on the ballot, longest name, I'd appreciate it. And go Hilltoppers. I just wanted to throw that in there. Got me thinking about it. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Mr. Andrew Raposo.
Thank you. Thank you, FRC Media. Thank you, the Flint Neighborhood Association, and all of you here in the room and those watching at home for the opportunity to earn this right to sit in this table and speak to all of you tonight. And to the fellow candidates seated beside me, I appreciate your time being here, as well as putting yourself out there to try to make our city better and move our city forward. I've been blessed to serve this community for 2 terms. I hope to return for a 3rd. Looking for your vote on November 4th. My desire to continue on this council is to continue working for the citizens of Fall River, providing constituent services that help people. I've had the privilege of speaking with many of you, hearing your input and putting it into action. I pride myself in attending many city events, supporting our local causes, and working with people to make things happen. If I'm fortunate to return to the council, I will continue to work with our public safety officials to help keep our city safe and advocate for them, work with whoever administration comes forward, and to advocate with them to keep our streets clean, remove graffiti across the city, and support our expansion of arts and culture, which can be a huge boom for our community. Lastly, I'm proud to work with our veteran community and our VSO here in the city and advocate for their needs. In the end, we need to work together to make the forward progress to be successful. My role here is to be your voice and to be your advocate. If I'm blessed to be reelected to the council, I will serve with honesty and continue to work hard. I ask for your vote on November 4th, and to the rest of my colleagues, yes, voting is important. Get out there and vote. Get your friends, get your family, tell them, post it on Facebook if you have to. Make sure they get out there. supporting candidates to do this work is hugely important. We are your voice. So I humbly ask for your vote on November 4th. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis Mellon.
Well, I too want to thank the Flint Neighborhood Association as well as FRDA for giving us an opportunity to address you and the public in general, because it's important that people understand and listen to our opinions about the different issues regarding our city. This is my city by choice. I wasn't born here. I chose to live here. I could have lived in many different cities. But I chose Fall River because I thought it was a great city, and it was for a number of years. All of a sudden, in the last few years, quality of life has gone down. Safety is not there. I see more parking maids driving in the neighborhoods than I see police officers. There's something not right about that. You can talk about as much as you want about new apartment buildings and new commerce and new businesses. No one is going to do anything unless they feel safe. Safety is paramount in any city. We need to put more cops out on the street immediately. Not 3-4 years from now. We lost about 35 over the last 7 or 8 years. You got to replace them. I want to feel safe walking the streets of Fall River, and I'm sure you do too. If I get elected, I'm going to keep an eye on the budget. I'm going to get involved in every single department budget process. That's how I will be able to tell people how we spend the money, because right now the council cannot tell us that. They basically vote yes or no without knowing what's in there. Sometimes we find out afterwards. That's not the way to go. In any event, on November 4th, I appreciate your support and hope you present me with one of your votes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Michelle Dion.
Thank you. Thank you, Flint Neighborhood Association, FRC Media, and everybody who came out tonight, and everybody at home that's watching this. That's very important as well, that the people out there give us their time. As a counselor, I have always been open and honest. I always keep the city and the residents in my thoughts. I try to view things from their perspective. I believe I have a proven track record. If you look at the way I vote, I have always voted in line with those thoughts and ideals. I can honestly tell, and I said this at the last forum, when I leave city council, I go home, I can rest my head on the pillow because I know I did the best I could for the residents of this city. Because everything that affects them also affects me. And I think sometimes people lose sight of that. I know there are many more people than people realize who actually watch the meetings. You know, there was a comment that sometimes we're too tough on the people at the table. No, we're not. We're all adults. It's a very serious, it's a serious job. It's a serious commitment. Sometimes you're not getting the answers that you know you should get. You have to push a little harder. I'm never disrespectful. I'm never rude. But I'm serious because it is serious. We're running a city, and everything we do, every vote we take, everything we feel impacts all of you. So if you don't hold that as a priority, there's something wrong. So with that, again, I'll be number 8 on the ballot. I'm so proud of that. Michelle M. Dion is how my name appears on the ballot, because I always use my middle name, my middle initial. And if I can have the honor of serving one more time, I'll be eternally grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ricky Tith.
You know, I'm living a dream because when I came here, I have nothing. And I thought I would never, I thought I'd ever be sitting in the council seat at City Hall, immigration. Every day that I'm not every day that I'm working as an advocate, community activist, I go around to people, try to help them the best way as I can to even do immigration, citizens, or find out how to do business in City Hall, because I already find it difficult already, so I already know and how to run an election. I've done that. But then a lot of people say, if you're doing all that, why don't you run for city council? And, be more and advocate more and have more voice in there, and which is did. And when I came in, it was just like not win by election, but I resigned, but it gave me an opportunity to learn all the process, how to deal with the people and issue. And I think it's just a short time for me, so I'm asking you to give me an opportunity to earn your vote on Tuesday, November 4th, because I believe I could go more beyond this, just being a counselor and being a community activist or a business in the community.
Thank you. Mr. Michael Canio.
Thank you to FRC Media, everyone viewing at home. And I want to thank the Flint Neighborhood Association again for hosting this forum and for everything you do to keep neighbors connected. It's a reminder that our city's strength comes from the people who show up, who care, and who look out for each other every day. I've been working hard every day of this campaign, and if I'm elected, I'll continue to work hard for you every single day. I think of the council as a puzzle piece. Everybody brings something different to the table. I'll bring a steady hand, an open ear, and a clear focus on results. I'll hold quarterly office hours, as I mentioned earlier, across our neighborhoods, so every resident has a chance to be heard, not just at election time, but all year long. I want to be the kind of counselor who listens first, learns from you, and works together to get things done that make a real difference in your neighborhood. Fall River has so much heart, so much potential, and so many people who care, people who quietly show up, help a neighbor, and invest in the future of this city. I'd be honored to bring that same energy, dedication, and love for this city to the council chamber. I want to make sure every neighborhood, every street, and every family has a voice in decisions that affect their lives. This is a city that has shaped who I am, and now I want to give back for my kids, for yours, and for everyone who calls Fall River home. Thank you for taking the time to be here tonight, to listen online, for sharing your questions, and for engaging in this process that keeps our community strong. I'd be grateful for your support and one of your votes on November 4th. You can't miss my name. I won the lottery. I'll be number 1 on the ballot in the city council race. And I promise to show up for you every day with honesty, dedication, and heart if I earn your vote. Thank you.
On behalf of the Flint Neighborhood Association, I want to thank all of you for coming out, those that are watching. A special thank you to our city councilors and candidates for their time and thoughtful answers, to FRC Media for streaming, to our panelist, Al, to our timekeeper, Sue, to our audio, Eric, and to our Sociedad Cultural Suriana for hosting us again for the second time. Forums like this only matter if we follow through. We make a plan to please go vote on November 4th. Lean out to your neighbors if you don't have a ride. Everybody today and age has Facebook. Send a message. Hey, are you going to go vote? Can I plan to go with you? We need each and every one of you to reach out to someone. Bring someone with you to the polls. I think that is the biggest problem in Fall River, is that nobody's getting out to vote. Could it be that it's a ride? It could be. Could it be that maybe they're timid to go to the poll by themselves? Let's help one another, right? I know I'll be reaching out to a few people to hopefully bring with me. I voted by mail, but you know what? I don't mind after work calling someone and say, hey, did you go vote today? I'll be right there. You need a ride? I'll go with you. You want me to go inside with you? Let's help each other. I think that's what we need most in Fall River, because I think everybody today is on their own in Fall River, and it's sad. Let's go back. when everybody cared about each other and our neighbors, right? We watched out for each other. I think that's the biggest message that anybody can give Fall River today. Let's keep the conversation going with respect and collaboration as we work together for a stronger Flint and a stronger Fall River. Have a safe night, and thank you again for being here and watching.